Morning. How's everyone doing? Happy Monday morning. We are back. Good morning. How are you? Yes, for sure. What do you do that helps you? How you doing, Lisa? What are some things we do to help with our anxiety? How you doing? Good morning. Happy Monday. It's a new week. Anybody got any plans for the weekend? I'm struggling so bad with it as well. I just can't get rid of it. Kat, what gives you anxiety? Smoke and play my favorite Disney songs. Yeah, I mean, we see you saying sleep helps with your anxiety. Yeah, if we can fall asleep, right? We don't wake up in the middle of the night with a night terror. I didn't sleep at very much at all last night. Art, yeah, anything that can distract the mind, right? But the main reason is like not the main reason, but just the outside world. I think it's hard to explain. It's hard to find what it is. Yeah, you mean like just going out in public, being out around other people that you don't know, new surroundings. Um, it's scary, right? The unknown. Yeah, but a lot of times nothing does work. Yeah, the unknown's scary, right? We don't know. That's what brings us anxiety, trying to understand what the future holds, trying to control what the future holds, trying to understand it all. Yeah, sure. I used to get it at the store. I could get it everywhere. I used to wait outside of convenience stores until they were empty, right? To go in. I didn't like being in line. I didn't like people being around me, like behind me in line. I don't know. Um, I've gotten a lot better with that. I used to get it in the mall. I can never go in the mall. Richard, for me, it's being out in public, meeting. Yeah, yeah. I don't have a problem with that though. Like not anymore. Me, anyway. Like socially awkward. You know what I mean? Feeling socially. I used to always think everyone was looking at me. Um, that's how I thought. I'm a lot of medication. How do I deal with it? There's a lot of things you got to do. I mean, besides medicine, I take every day. I just took my pills. Um, exercise, eating right. There's a lot of things, but staying on that track is the hard thing, right? With I mean, I'll just be honest with you. Coming back from vacation and stuff, you kind of get back in a slump because like you're back to reality for a sense. You know what I mean? Like all that build up to actually go on vacation, and then you get home, you're back to reality. Doing these lives helped me a lot. Um, talking to people, being open about it. I'm having dealing anxiety lately, really struggling at the moment. How you doing, Mackenzie? Yeah, it's tough. Can be very difficult at times. Good morning, Marie. How are you? Yeah, it's just the same. Yeah, Richard. That's how I used to always get in public, like people staring at me. Right? I always thought people were, but that's not. That's just your mind playing tricks on you, right? Um, I definitely felt the same as you. Morning, Don. How are you? Well, PM, afternoon, I guess. Um, yeah, it's definitely like that. Yeah, being in your own head for sure. Yeah, I used to struggle with that a lot, like falling asleep, stopping the mind from thinking, right? Um, I mean, what really helps me with that is getting up and doing these lives at, I get up at 3:40 in the morning. By the time I get awake and ready, it's like 4 o'clock when I start these. But by the time when I go to bed at night, like I'm just so tired. I don't have no, I don't even think. I just go right to sleep. So that helps. I was on meds, but it gives me major headaches. I've noticed doing yeah, grounding helps as well. Yep. Yeah, grounding really helps as well. How your kids doing, Marie? How your daughters? Good. Yeah, right. Well, what is normal, Kat? What is normal? Like when we say normal, you know what I mean? What is normal? It's a very interesting topic, right? My normal might not be your normal, you know? What's normal in general? Morning, Chris. Yeah, anxiety, it's very tough. I've had the stomach virus all weekend, so haven't been able to take all my meds like I should be able to. Why, you been throwing up? I'm also on so much meds to try to calm my mind down, but it does not help tonight. Yeah, I would try to find other ways to clear your mind, you know? There's other ways, you know, but everything's different for everybody. Yeah, not anxiety attacks and afraid to leave home. Yeah. It's tough, man. Nothing helps me being everywhere under lots of taking medicine for 44 years, yeah. Yeah, and nothing seems to help, huh? It's crazy. Let's get the exact definition of anxiety, and we'll break it down as we go. They're stowing up in the other. Yeah, it's a shame, though. That's you. What are you commenting about there? That's you too, but you're 34. Um, Let me get this up very much. Panic attacks. All of a sudden, without giving any warning, they can strike at any time. I may have occasional chill, fear of it. Paul doing flashing vision. Chest beats twice. Causes. The exact reason for panic attacks are unknown, but the below factors play a role. Genetics, stress, change in brain functions, depression, drug use. Gender. Women are more likely to get panic attacks. Family history, anxiety, panic disorder, use of drugs or alcohol. I've been dealing with anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts since I was 14, so almost 20 years. Okay. Um, yeah, you're still here, right? You're still fighting. We're all warriors, It's different for everybody. But hopefully, talking about this and spreading awareness can help us in some way. Learn new ways to cope. You know what I mean? Very good. My oldest came from Canada Saturday. Happy. Yeah. It's tough, right? Maybe try to get out with your daughter a little. Common complete physical exam. Um, that's not what I want to look up though. Anxiety. Anxiety is not always related to underlying condition. It might be caused by stress that can result from work, school, personal relationships, emotional trauma, financial concerns. Stress caused by chronic or serious medical conditions, a major event or performance. Yeah, but see, don't even give you like. I don't even think do they even know what. I mean, it's like they don't even know what causes it. Well, yeah, it's a milestone, and each day is a new day, right? Each day is a new day. Um, a new understanding of yourself, of this world we live in. Um, it's tough, man. Some days are good, some days are bad. Hopefully, the good outweigh the bad, right? But that's where that's where it's hard. One of the best things. Oh, I appreciate it. I appreciate you being here. Um, yeah, I can't do it without you guys, right? It helps me as well. That's why I get up so early, and it motivates me, right? Discipline. Yeah, Mackenzie, that's what we can do one day at a time. Just learn a little bit about ourselves each day, find ways and things that work. Um, yeah, it's a new day, new week. Um, that's found as I get older, very. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't understand it because a lot of people don't care, right? A lot of people don't care. Fear of letting them down, taking on no. For sure. What's going on? What are you struggling from? Yeah, I understand completely. Um, and society don't help, right? I'm gonna tell you a story. What happened yesterday? I was on my way home. I'm on this road that we were driving. Has a very like sharp S bend, right? So you come down the hill, goes like this, and it goes like that. Well, we were um we were at a T intersection, right? And this motorcycle came past us. So we make a right and we're following the motorcycle. This just happened last night. Well, it was like still daylight, but it was like 5 p.m. And in front of that motorcycle was another motorcycle, right? He was wrecked. He was going around the bend and he wrecked. And he was there and his bike was laid over. and he was standing there. Well, the motorcycle in front of us, you would think he would stop, right, to help this guy because he's also on a motorcycle and he might know what it's like to wreck or, be scared to wreck or whatever the case may be. But you thought you would stop. Dude didn't even stop for this guy. He went around him. Okay. My wife was driving. She stopped. I got out and helped this dude. As I'm getting out to help him, two motorcycles are coming in the opposite direction. They didn't stop. Another guy went around us. He didn't stop. So as I'm looking at the bike and trying to help this guy get the bike up, another dude did stop eventually behind us because he couldn't get around anyway because it was a blind curve. So he gets out and he's trying to help. So then we coast the bike down the hill. I get back in the truck. I said, dude, his gear shifter was all bent up and jammed, so he couldn't shift gears. So I said, dude, it's in neutral, so you can coast down, and then I'll meet you down there. There's a pool off there to the left. So then we get down there, and the people behind us, of course, they don't stop. They just keep going. I stop, get out, and look for a tool to help him straighten his shifter out. Long story short, he didn't live far, but I just can't believe that people are in the same world as him riding a motorcycle. That this could happen to you, and you don't even stop to help this poor guy. It's pretty sad how society has come, you know what I mean? Like you see a dude wrecked, and no one would even stop and help him. My first instinct was to get out and help him. How could you just drive around a dude that wrecked a motorcycle and not help him? I just don't understand how society thinks. But yeah, I just want to share that story. I just don't get it. I just don't get it anymore. It's sad, it's frustrating, to be honest with you. I mean, you ride motorcycles as well. I don't even have a motorcycle. I still stop to help the guy. That could be anybody, you know what I mean? That could be one of your loved ones. And no one would stop to help him. It's pretty sad. What is anxiety?
So, in general, I believe that most mental health disorders, in fact, I would say almost every mental health disorder, originates in childhood experience and originates as a coping mechanism.
Do you guys agree with that?
Now, if you look at anxiety, if I were to pull a gun on you, you would not be anxious. You'd be afraid, as you should be. So, when are we afraid? When we're threatened with something. Either something bad happened to us or something that we perceive as something that we need is threatened to be taken away from us.
Death of so many loved ones, nightmares every night. I've been with all of them, and they have taken their last breath. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, death. Yeah, that keeps you. That'll give you anxiety, right? Being around death, knowing that it's part of this story we're writing, right? Knowing it's part of our story. There's going to be an end. Like there's an end to all things, right? Uh, yeah, that'll definitely give you anxiety as well. Yeah, you got this, man. You're not going to lose control. You keep going, keep fighting. Stay strong.
Now, in the early child's life, in the young child's early life, anxiety is an attachment alarm. What is the child's biggest need? Attachment with the parent, connection with the parent. When the parent's not around, the child should feel some fear. That serves a positive purpose. Because when a child feels fear, he cries, she vocalizes, and that brings the parent. I mean, look at a mother cat responding to the kitten's cries, immediate. And the same with instinct with human beings who are still connected to the parenting instinct, they will respond to the child's cry for help. So that fear is adaptive. So it's a coping mechanism. But now, what happens to a person whose parents are taught by medical experts, like I used to, until I learned otherwise, or others, not to pick up the kids when they're crying? Now that natural fear that causes the crying, that brings the parent, which ends the anxiety, is embedded in the child. So what begins as a coping mechanism now becomes generalized. So under certain circumstances, there should be fear and anxiety. But when I have this anxiety, when there's no immediate threat, what is that about? It's not a response to anything external. It's the embedded anxiety that I developed as a child.
That's so true. Like, why do we have anxiety? Oh man, it's so. Let me rewind this real quick. Sometimes my mind's in other places. You know how that is. I can't stay focused sometimes in my
So
mind.
it begins as a coping mechanism.
When this guy talks, I try to think about my own life, right? And I kind of lose track of what he's saying. You know, I'm trying to relate to what's coming out, but I'm getting lost in his words, if that makes any sense.
Now becomes generalized. So under certain circumstances, there should be fear and anxiety. But when I have this anxiety, when there's no immediate threat, what is that about?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to go over. Why is that? If there's no immediate threat, why do we have anxiety? Is it because of the unknown? I didn't think he was that old. No, I didn't think he was 80. What is ESAs? ESAs. Maybe I know, but I just ain't clicking.
It's not a response to anything external. It's the embedded anxiety that I developed as a child.
Oh, okay. I never
Now,
heard it broke down
in
like
a society that makes people more isolated all the time, where human social contact is replaced by the rather cold and impersonal world of the internet, and when people under genuine threat, where young people have less opportunity for meaningful employment and belonging and a sense of purpose than their parents used to, there's more general threat. Now, when that general threat hits people who are in childhood over immersed in anxiety that's not relieved by the parent coming to help them, now you've got an anxiety situation. So when it comes to your friends with anxiety, I would get them to really look at their childhoods and to recognize that that anxiety is really the cry of some desperate child part of themselves for help, and to learn to get help with that part. Not just to take tranquilizers or to drink booze, not to feel the anxiety, or not to go on the internet to soothe themselves or to escape momentarily, but to actually see that that anxiety is a normal response on their part to what actually happened to them, and that it can be relieved and recovered from if they look at its sources.
But if that's the case, like what would have happened in our lives as children that would make us scared to be in public? Like, what would your answer be to that? I mean, we go off what he says and we can break it down what he says. Maybe we get a better understanding of it. But if he's saying it happens as a child, right? Maybe you're left crying and no one's there to, soothe you or to save you from that, right? How does that make you scared of society? How does that make you scared to go to a grocery store? How does that make you scared to go on a bridge? See, that's where the connection is. I'm not understanding the connection. You know what I mean? Yeah, but what if I get like I'm not gonna I don't want to argue. I just want to get to the try to figure this out. But what if none of that happened to you? Okay, just say me. Like, we'll just use me for an example. Maybe I was never brainwashed, kidnapped, or sexually molested, right? How would like you see what it's kind of hard to explain. Like, if he's saying this from your childhood, but we all experience different childhoods, but we might have the same anxieties. So why does I'm just trying to break it down from what he's saying. Does this make sense? Hopefully. What exactly is it that makes us feel that way? Because I don't know. It's tough. See what he says here. How to if anyone has any videos as well, let me know. Or wants to come up there. There can be more traumatic experiences that can happen during certain periods of your childhood. Could be anything from being maybe lost in public as a child. That's a good point. Yeah. It's good points. I'm just trying to wrap my head around it all, right? Like maybe we'll never figure it all out completely. But I like what this guy says. I just try to like break it down into our lives, right? Like how it affected me. Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, being bullied, not feeling wanted, like you fit in, so-called normal, right? Not feeling normal, whatever that is. Yeah, these are all good points, Actually, points I wasn't even thinking about, so I appreciate the input. We're all different, but we're all the same in a way. You know what I mean? Yeah, what society feels is normal, right? But that's another interesting topic. All right, how to stop feeling lost and anxious, stressed, and unhappy. Let's see what he says about this.
Escape the victim mindset.
Well, so if I was talking to a person like that, I would say, first of all, I get it because I've been to that place myself.
Yeah, I
I've had
agree.
moments when I didn't think life was worth living, and I imagined my own suicide. And never that I planned it or I was going to do it, but I kind of fantasized it. I've been to those places, so I get it. Secondly, I would say I feel that the world's against me. That's not a feeling; it's a belief. Okay, if you have that belief, it's because at some point you had that experience, but you're not having that experience right now. That experience was that of a child who was helpless and alone. So what's showing
See, this guy brings it all back to childhood. You know what I mean? And I just try to like think of my childhood, and I don't know. I just gotta, it's like you're trying to figure out a mystery, right? Like, what part of your childhood was it? It's interesting.
up in your belief system is not your present situation, but your childhood emotional experience. And like I said before, in the present, we can heal. No matter what happened then, we can heal in the present. So the first thing I would ask a person like that is, are you willing to consider that healing is possible for you? Or have you totally given up? By the way, a person who's totally given up wouldn't be telling you this. Because when people talk this way, whether they know it or not, they're asking for help. If they weren't asking for help, they wouldn't say anything. They just slink off of their own and isolate themselves.
You guys agree with that? Like, maybe it's for me. Maybe it's not help. It's just an understanding. Like trying to. I guess it would be help too, right? Just trying to understand each other, trying to understand how the mind works, trying to understand why so many people struggle with anxiety. You know what I mean? It's society. I mean, just think about, back to that guy that wrecked yesterday. Imagine that. Imagine being that guy. And you have other people that are doing the same thing you are on this nice Sunday afternoon. And they give two fucks about you. They just drive right past you. Now, wouldn't that create some sort of anxiety in the future? Like, I don't know, man. It's just weird.
And some people do. So anybody who speaks the way that you just cited is already, whether they know it or not, they're looking for help. And if that's the case, then they can be helped. And so,
yeah, but looking for help, that's why I appreciate the comments. Shit. It's just it's just learn. I don't know, man. Just learn from each other.
So that's the second point is don't try and solve this on your own. We're human beings. We're creatures that evolved in connection and community. You're not alone with this. It may feel like you're alone, and you certainly might feel lonely, but you're not, in fact, alone. Millions feel exactly the same
Yeah,
way.
very true.
And they're not crazy, and you're not crazy. Those beliefs and feelings are normal responses to abnormal circumstances. So that's how I began working with the people, with a person with that mindset.
And I guess to take this one step further, I've heard you talk about like that one of the main problems with society today is that a lot of people who have mental health struggles and they're struggling with situations like this where they feel stuck and they can't get out of their own way at times. They feel like people are against them. They're dealing with trauma and then they might go see
Oh, Maria, I never seen this one before. I don't think.
somebody who's not trained in trauma. They don't have the experience. Like, how can somebody begin to take that path and make sure that they're finding somebody that is like, trained in that, and then also that they're able to self-regulate themselves when needed?
Well, that's a huge question because unfortunately, look, I've been through medical training. I'm a physician, and the average physician never hears any of the stuff I just talked about.
Yeah, remember he said this before. I know where he's going to go with this. I never seen this one, but I know if I remember him saying this, that when you go through that schooling, you don't talk about trauma. They don't teach you about trauma. Look at the trauma that the person went through, right? It's all medication, medication, medication. It's not getting to the root of the problem, right? There's a reason why we're anxious. There's a reason why we're depressed. There's a reason why we have OCD, ADHD. There's a reason why we have all these disorders. You know what I mean? Yes, it's worth the time. Oh yeah, we'll definitely play this all the way through. But there's a reason for it, right? And there's trauma. That's what he said he never learned.
The average psychiatrist doesn't get any training in trauma. They learn something about PTSD, which is a specific form of trauma, but they don't learn about the traumatic basis of depression and anxiety and ADHD, and they learn nothing about it. So that it's very difficult to find good help within the medical system. Now, many therapists.
Have you tried any therapy for it? I want to get back to something before I forget. It just crossed my mind. Remember yesterday? Was it yesterday? One of the mornings I was talking about, my buddy texted me. I was talking about PTSD and veterans and stuff. He made this comment. It just hit. I don't mean to be rude, but it just crossed my mind here. I talked to my buddy after I got off, the one that was in Afghanistan, and when you get back from deployment, he said they just put you in a room and you fill out paperwork, blah blah blah. But then they don't really ask you about your mental health, right? And they don't really give you anything afterwards. Like you're done. Like once you sign them papers, you're done. You know what I mean? Like they don't have a job set up for you or nothing. You're just back into society. I was like, dude, they didn't like one-on-one individually like ask you how you're doing, or as a group come together and say, hey, how's everyone's mental state? Blah 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 blah, yada yada yada. None of that shit. None of that shit. Hopefully one day he will come here and do an interview. He's not into that stuff really. It was interesting to get his perspective from it. He was a Marine, and always wondered what they do for their mental health when they come back. And from him, pretty much nothing, right? They expect you. Oh, I guess they did say if you have any problems, blah blah blah, let us know before you get out of here, yada yada yada. But like PTSD and all that shit don't happen right away. You know what I mean? It might take a little bit. So it's not like maybe you get back home, you're just happy to be home. None of that shit settled in yet. You're not even back into society yet. You're not even back to being a civilian. How do you know what you just witnessed is going to impact you? Right? Until it does. So I just wanted to let you know that I did speak with him about that. I have multiple different kinds of different therapy. Oh, okay. So does it help at all? So yeah, if you ever wonder,
Also don't get any such training. There's a lot of therapists that are designed only to change your beliefs and your behaviors, but not to address the fundamental reasons for those behaviors. So a lot of psychologists trained in CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, or dialectical behavioral therapy, a lot of them are not really, and I know this, believe me, I know this, they just don't know much about or anything about trauma. Then they can't help you with the fundamental wound that you're carrying. They can help you with the manifestations. And that's not useless, but they can't help you heal at your core. So then there are therapies that are deeper than that.
Yeah, it's sad to me as well. I mean, these people fight for our country. No matter what your political beliefs are, no matter what your beliefs are about war, blah blah blah, whatever. But you can't just break a dude. Like I was telling him, like they break you down, they make you. I never been in the military, right? So I was just speaking to him because he has, and he was in war, he was in combat. You know what I mean? And how they break you down, make you who they want you to be, right? And then they send you off to war, right? And then when you come back, now it's like you're on your own, right? Like you said, there was no like job placement, there was none of that. You had to figure all that shit out. You have nothing. You know what I mean? Some people have nothing, and you don't have these people to turn to that you just fought with in combat because you're in different states. Not everybody lives on the same block. Like he said, there wasn't really like when he got out, like Skype just started. So it wasn't like it is now. He said, like, you don't have all this internet where you can like talk to people over the internet, blah, blah, blah. You got to think about all the technology too. And this is what, I don't know, maybe 10, I forget how old Dre is, maybe 12 years, maybe 10, 12, somewhere in there. So they didn't have the access like we have now where you could have like, I guess, a Teams meeting or, doctor's help over the. And then how can you relate? Like, how can a doctor relate? Like this guy right here. I mean, he probably, if he was never in combat, how can you talk to somebody that's never been there? Like, how can they tell you what it's like? You can't just talk to a normal citizen when it comes to that. Just like any PTSD, I believe, if you were molested, sexually abused, something like that. Like I never been through that. I don't know how to relate to that. But talking to somebody that does, I'm sure can help a lot better, right?
There is body-based therapies such as somatic experiencing, developed by my friend and teacher Dr. Peter Levine. There's sensory motor psychotherapy developed by Pact Ogden. There's EMDR that works for some people. There's internal family systems or IFS developed by my friend and colleague Dr. Richard Schwartz. There's compassionate inquiry, which is based on my work, and I train therapists in that method. There are other names I could mention. There's Larry Heller, Lawrence Heller, and his work and his students. So what you have to look for is somebody who's trauma informed and is willing to work with you, not just on your behaviors, but on your core wounds, of which the behaviors are symptoms.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up because, like, in my own experience, I mean, I've struggled off and on with my mental health over the years. I mean, I've told you a bit about my story in our last conversation. And, when I would go, there wasn't like a lot of talk about my childhood. It was just like, all right, you're having some anxiety. Cool. Like, here's a pill. And then I would just take it and I would just think, okay, this is going to cure my anxiety. And then I would realize, like, it's not really, I'm still getting anxiety. I'm still struggling. Like, what's going on with this? And it wasn't until I understood, like, my past and my trauma and how that was all related to what I was experiencing in the present that things were able to change. And so let's just say that somebody has now, they found somebody they're comfortable with that's helping them heal their trauma and change their present and their current behaviors and patterns and that sort of thing. And then they go down weeks down the road, months down the road, and they're on the up and up, but get triggered, or they experience a situation where they're like, oh my gosh, like I thought I was getting better. Why is this coming up? What's your advice to people who are dealing with triggers when they're on the road to recovery from trauma?
Well, there's two ways to ask that question that you just raised. Why is this coming up? Is that a question? What is it actually?
What is this teaching me?
No. When you say, why is this coming up like that? That's not a question. It's a statement. It's a statement that says, this shouldn't be happening to me. Okay. Now you ain't going to learn anything that way. But if you actually ask it, I wonder why this is coming up. Now you can learn something.
Yeah, it's probably from past trauma, right?
If I came to you and said, why are you doing this? How would that feel to you?
I would probably get defensive and I would just feel like a little ashamed.
Exactly. But what if I said, I wonder why you're doing this?
It would force me to think a little bit and practice the pause and say,
well, I don't know if it would force you, but at least they would invite you, right?
Right.
Yeah. Now, so that's the first point is how should we ask this question? It's a good question, but we have to ask it as a question, not as a statement of resentment or resistance. That's the first point. The second point is use the word trigger. Really great word. Now, if I showed you a rifle with a trigger, how big a part of the rifle is the trigger?
It's very small.
Very small. For that trigger to set off anything, that what there has to be a mechanism to deliver ammunition. There has to be ammunition. There has to be an explosive charge. When I get triggered, let's say you say something to me and I get triggered, what you said was a very small little thing. I'm the one who's got the explosive charge and the ammunition. You didn't cause me to do that. If I didn't have that ammunition explosive charge, you could say whatever you want. And I'd just sit here saying, I wonder why he's saying that.
Does anybody else get triggered easily? I do. I was triggered yesterday. Just certain things, like piss me off so bad. I just don't understand why it happens, but it happens. Mackenzie has the same problem. Yeah, I don't know why that happened. Certain things just. I think we spoke about this a little bit before, but it's so weird. Like things that I get so pissed off about. Most people wouldn't even bat an eye at it.
So triggering is a great opportunity to learn. When you get triggered, you could either focus on, resent, and resist the trigger, or you could say, what was I still carrying inside that I haven't looked at yet, that I haven't resolved yet? So if, I used to tell this story, we've been married 53 years now, my wife and I.
Yeah, but what is it, right? It's easy to say, look, but what is it? Like, it's a lot more complicated than just, it could be a lot of things, right?
So let's say 20 years ago, I might ask to sleep with her and she would say no, which is, nobody can ever believe that ever happened, but it did used to happen, And how would I respond? I would respond by going to a rage and curling into a fetal position and not even wanting to live. Okay. Now, the trigger is the no that she said. The explosive is my belief that I'm being rejected and abandoned and not wanted, and that I'm an infant and helpless, which is
wow. So his anger comes from being rejected, right? I'm trying to think. It's very interesting. I'm trying to think why I get triggered and what would be the cause of that.
what happened to me. Otherwise, if she says no, I can get curious. Are you tired, or have I done something to turn you off, or is there something you want we can talk about? Or I can just be disappointed and let go of it and say, okay, well, thanks. There'll be another day. So how I respond is not dependent on the external event. It's dependent on what charge I'm.
Kenzie, does it make sense what he's saying to you? I mean, I don't know if you have the same, if any of that can relate to you, but you try to take his example there, which makes sense to me, right? Like, you're not mad at the reason no, you're just mad because now you feel what triggered you was being not accepted, I guess, right?
I'm carrying. So triggers are wonderful times to learn about yourself.
Yeah.
So if you ask the question, well, why did I react that way? But I wonder why I reacted that way. Now there's a whole lot of learning to be done. So that's what I call compassionate curiosity, where we're actually curious about ourselves, but not in a self-judgmental way, but in a compassionate way. Oh, this brought up the pain of rejection. Obviously, I'm still carrying that wound. Well, let's look at that because it's not happening in the present.
I'm glad you brought that up and that we have to change the language and how we talk to ourselves during those moments. Because for me personally, I'm extremely hard on myself. So that like voice that you were saying, like, like, why is this happening or why is it doing this to me? Like, that's something that I've said in my life very, very frequently because of the fact that I'm really hard on myself. I sometimes, when something doesn't go my way or when I get triggered or bothered by something, even though I've done a lot of work on myself, I'm so hard on myself because I'm like, gosh, like I'm better than this. I know I should be doing better than this. So that was really eye opening for me. So thanks for sharing that.
Well, and that voice in your head that tells you all that stuff. In this book, I actually talk about getting into a relationship with that voice because this is what I call a stupid friend, because at some point That voice came along when you were quite small. See, if you were suffering as a kid or things weren't going well, there's two assumptions a child could make unconsciously. One is, the world is dangerous, my parents don't know how to love me, value me, I can't trust anybody, I'm all alone, I'm going to suffer in this world. The other belief unconsciously is, there's something wrong with me, and maybe if I work hard enough, I can fix it. Now, which belief is more protective for the child, do you think?
Yeah, we all yeah, but yeah, I agree. Man, what he's saying is so damn true. I want to rewind that a little bit. Uh, I like to soak all this in. Like I said, my mind wanders, right? I try to get it. I got to listen to what he says and then break it down into my life. But I'm going to play this again real quick.
One is, the world is dangerous, my parents don't know how to love me, value me, I can't trust anybody, I'm all alone, I'm going to suffer in this world. The other belief unconsciously is, there's something wrong with me, and maybe if I work hard enough, I can fix it. Now, which belief is more protective for the child, do you think?
The second one is more protective.
Exactly. So it came along as kind of a friend to keep you going. It's a friend. I say it's a stupid friend. The reason I'm joking when I call it stupid, but the stupidity comes in because it doesn't learn that you're no longer that child. It keeps giving you the same message. So my suggestion, Doug, is next time you hear that voice, say hello to it and say, thank you. You know what? Because ask yourself, how old is that voice? I mean, how old were you when it first came along?
I mean, I was young because I remember there was this idea that I developed about myself from when I was a child that I wasn't good enough because I wasn't picked for sports teams. I got yelled at a lot.
So give me an age, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I was in elementary school, I think.
But let's call him a 7-year-old. This voice is a 7-year-old kid telling you a story. So say hi to it. Hello, I got it. You're still working to make me better in this world, but you know what? Relax, kid. I can take care of it now. You know, it's just a little immature little friend. That's all it is. It didn't come along to torment you. It came along to actually protect you.
Right. And I think you're right. It's so important to have a conversation with that voice and then also change the conversation.
It's so weird because when he says that, like, not about not being good enough, I felt that way. A lot in my childhood for different reasons, you know what I mean? But that's why I think I get a lot angry. Like if I'm trying to do something right and it don't go right, I like flip out because it didn't go the way it was supposed to go, right? It didn't go, and then like this, like I think I'm trying to understand myself here because, like, say I'm trying to put this pen together, right? And I get it together, but now like everything I knew how to fix this pen, I tried and it didn't work, right? And it's supposed to click when I go like this. It's supposed to be auto, right? But now it don't work. Now it's like, what do I do now? So this is where my panic and anxiety comes in because everything I thought I knew how to, I thought I knew how to fix the pen, right? But it didn't go the way I wanted to, and that's all I knew how to. That's all I knew what to do to fix it. Does this making any sense? Hopefully, I did everything I knew what to do to fix this pen, right? And it didn't work. And then now what do I do, right? That's where the anxiety and the panic and the frustration comes in because I'm not good enough to fix this, right? Now I got to find a way to do it because I don't have the means or the ability to fix it. So now what do I do, right? Hopefully that makes sense. I don't know, but I think I'm trying to understand, like giving myself therapy here. I don't know, but I'm just trying to understand why I get like that. Yeah, I can understand this completely right here. I've never felt good enough. I'm still worried about being good enough. Yeah, it does bother you, right? I'm different than my other siblings. Yeah, let's leave it there.
With that. And then along the lines of like, childhood, one of the things that my audience wanted me to talk to you about more in depth is like parenting, and that parents are having a hard time right now, I think, with their kids growing up in this world that is hard. You're easily distracted, you're easily addictive, you're easily on your screen all the time. Like, what advice do you have for parents who are raising kids in this world today so that they can, raise them to the best of their ability?
It's very difficult to raise kids these days because we're not living in the way that human beings evolved. Like every animal evolves in a certain environment and context and is suited to that environment and context. If you want to understand elephants, don't study them in a zoo. Study them out in a forest or where they live, you know? And human beings, we no longer live in the environments even close to it in which we evolved out there in nature in small groups connected to each other. Parenting kids was what used to be a group activity. It happened in the tribe, in the clan. Parents had lots of support. Kids spent their whole day around their parents. It wasn't goodbye in the morning, hello in the evening, and most of our time is spent away from each other. That would never used to be the case, not throughout millions of years and hundreds of thousands of years. No, we can't go back to that life, you know, nor would anybody want to necessarily.
Well, the main reason is society, right? Think about it. Back in the day, you could be raised by your mother and your father could go to work. You can't do that now. You never survive. You know, having one income in the household is hard, right? I mean, society made that impossible. That's not a us problem, right? I mean, we don't make the prices. That's because we're slaves to society, right? We're taught to, go to school, go to more school, and then go to work. Right? I talked about this before, and it just makes me so fucking mad how society works and how we're just slaves to the government. I mean, I don't. Your opinion on politics is really none of my business, but I respect it, right? But I'll never agree with the way we are wired and what school teaches us. School don't teach us how to live. They just, I don't know. It's frustrating. The more I think about it. Yeah. So yeah, you could be around your children, but nowadays it's hard. I mean, anyone that's on there, I mean, do you agree with me that it's hard to raise a family with one income? Let me know what you think. I'm gonna get some more coffee. I'm a single parent. I always worry about my. Yeah, I mean, just raising the kids. I mean, financially on your own, right? Oh, he works in mining. What are they mine for? What's big in Australia mining wise? Yeah, that reminds me of the old days, right?
But we have to understand what we've lost. So first of all, you have to understand a few things. The great Buddhist teacher Thich Nhat Hanh, who died about a year ago, he said,
Oh, he mines for gold? Is that like in a big? Is that like in like a small? Is that like in a small small company or like a big company?
that the greatest gift a parent can give to their child is his or her own happiness. So take care of your emotional states, because your kid is sensitive enough to be downloading your emotional states and making them their own. So if you're stressed, unhappy, depressed, anxious, addicted, believe me, your kid is going to absorb all that and make it about themselves that there's
Okay.
something wrong with them. So take care of yourself. Live a life.
Quick question about that. When they leave the underground mine, do they search them for gold? Like, I'm sure you could walk away with some. Do they search them for see if they have any gold on them?
Life that you can live with. And if you get the first 3 years right, by the way, you got it made. So when your kids are really small, consciously make the first 3 years as stress-free and as clear of side.
Yeah, I figured that. Do they get a percentage of what they find or no? Because the company's so big, probably not, huh?
Psychological dysfunction as possible. That means work on your traumas. Work on your relationship with your partner, your spouse. That's the first thing. Beginning with pregnancy, by the way. Number one.
I thought
Number
so.
two, understand what the needs of children are. Needs of children are for unconditional loving acceptance in the context of a secure relationship where the child doesn't have to work to make the relationship work. The acceptance and the regard should be unconditional. Allow the child to have all their emotions. Whatever the emotions are, let the child have them, understand them. Don't force them to suppress their emotions. I'm not saying be permissive with behaviors. I'm saying don't force the child to suppress their emotions. Don't tell them not to be angry. Don't tell them to cheer up when they're sad. Validate the anger, validate the sadness. These are essential brain circuits for such.
Yeah, we should let our kids express all the emotions in life, right? I don't have kids. Probably heard me say that 1,000 times. But if you just let your kids see happiness, they're not going to know what it's like to struggle. I know a lot of kids like that. This younger generation don't want to work for shit. They don't want to do nothing. They want mommy and daddy to figure it all out for them. That's because mommy and daddy never said no. Mommy and daddy will always solve their problems because they weren't able to do it themselves, or I don't know the case, but that's the problem with society now. You don't believe me? Look around. You'll find it. Yeah. Spend your money on what you need, not what you want, right? What you want will come. That's just how it is. Yeah, Mackenzie, that's great. I mean, that's awesome. I love that because you have horses, right? I believe. That's where I started working at 11 years old. In our neighborhood, we had farmer. We have a lot of farmland around us, which is being developed every year. But we'd be playing like normal kids used to do back in the day. I love, not to get all tired, but when I go out on my porch at night and I hear kids screaming and yelling, I love it because you don't see that shit no more. Scream and yell all you want. That don't bother me. Right? I love it. Anyway, we used to play, out in the streets, football, ride bikes, skateboard, whatever. And farmers would come around looking for help. And my brother, my one brother was 3 years older than me. So at the time, I think he was like 14 and maybe I was 11 or something like that. So we worked on the same farm. Started I actually did tobacco as well. We worked on a vegetable farm, picking the vegetables, hoeing fields. That taught me hard work. You know what I mean? At a very, very young age. And then every summer I'd work there. I'd ride bike to the farm, work till like noon, and then bike home. So that was instilled in me at a young age. Yeah, exactly. Discipline. It's a great thing to do for kids. You've taught them well. Yeah, I don't have any, but we do have horses. Yeah, I remember you saying that. But yeah, I think it's very important at a young age to teach kids not only responsibility, but it's just good discipline. You know what I mean? Sports, whatever. It teaches dedication.
Feelings. Nature gave them to us for a reason. Allow the child to experience them. That way they can stay connected to themselves. Thirdly, there's a need for spontaneous free play out in nature. Get the hell away from these devices. Don't give a 1-year-old an
So
iPad
funny. I
or a
just
cell
talked about
phone.
this.
Get
I just said the same thing he's about to say here. I think. Again, I've never seen this, but I was just saying about hearing kids scream yesterday out in the backyard. It reminded me of my childhood, right? Come in before it gets dark out. Hell, we'd fall that to the blood and tooth. We used to drink out of garden hoses. You know what I mean? We used to drink out of the hose. I mean, I don't think kids younger than I don't know how old anymore, but they never even drank out of a hose. We were just happy to have water. You just had to wait a couple seconds for the water to get cold because the rest of it's been sitting in the hose all summer. Kids don't do any of that shit no more.
Get rid of the screens in your house when your kids are small. Have a screen in a locked room for yourself if you need one. But don't be phoning and texting and emailing around your kids because the message they get is the device is more important than they are. Don't go for a walk with them and texting and looking at your cell at the same time. Don't give the kids these devices. They've been documentably shown to interfere with the healthy development of brain circuits. This has been shown on brain scans. So if I was raising kids today, I wouldn't let them near a screen for years. On the other hand, I would encourage them to be outdoors, be with them, play in nature, spontaneous creative play. So these are the essential needs of children. I talked about them in this book. They're difficult to provide in this culture because if you do any of this stuff, you'll be an outlier because all your friends and all your kids' friends' parents will be on their cell phones all the time. So you have to make a decision not to buy into the false values of this, what I call this toxic culture. So that's some basic advice, easily said, hard to achieve, but at least these are the goals that we need to be striving for. I wish I had known this stuff when my kids were small.
That's
So weird. It's so true, though, right? I mean, we live in a completely different society now. Like, this shit wasn't around when I was a kid. When a lot of us were kids, but it's so weird. Yeah, that's good, The internet can be a bad place. I mean, the internet's, I think, it's good for certain things, and I think it's terrible for other things. We can learn a lot from the internet. If you ever have a question, you need something done around the house, you can just YouTube how to fix doorknob, right? How to fix toilet. We didn't have that growing up. You either had to call a friend or figure it out. I mean, that's what I do like about the internet, but and obviously doing what we're doing right here. But it can be very hard. I mean, what's your opinion on the internet and kids? It's not a good place to be sometimes. I mean, even as adults, what I mean, it can get under our skin and make us dictate our outcome, our moods. Facebook frustrates me every day. That's what I do, to be honest. It's how I survive and learn. Yeah. Yeah, it's tough, man. Trying to find another video here. I might go back to them quotes. I like them quotes. They get me thinking pretty good. Unless anyone has a video they want me to play. It's like virtual pets, just yes. Yeah, it's frustrating sometimes. I went years without reading comments. Probably at least a year because people were like so rude, like it was. I'm off to cook dinner. Kids good night. I want to say, you, Mackenzie, thanks for being here. I appreciate you. Have a good day. Night. Man, it's a very interesting topic. Yeah, if you ever have a video you want me to share, let me know. Maybe I can pick up where I left off. I think it was this one I played.
The strongest people are not those who show strength in front of us, but those who fight battles we know nothing about.
Which should be like probably 80% of the people that deal with mental health, right? They don't talk about it. No one knows about it.
A good laugh and a long sleep are the two best cures for anything.
Who sleeps long anymore, though, right? It's hard to sleep in this society.
Take your financial life seriously. Money is a defense to a lot of challenges.
That's a sad thing, though, right?
Being alone gives us an opportunity to reconnect with ourselves.
Very true. When you're alone, yes, a lot of people that have been to prison, you find a lot about yourself when you're alone with your own thoughts. Yeah, for sure. And then you got the dark web, right? Who knows what you can find on the internet? I mean, if you know what you're doing, I'm sure you can find a lot of things.
Someone once told me the meaning of hell. On your last day on the earth, the person you became will meet the person you could have become.
Hmm.
You train people how to treat you, unconsciously or not. Don't die until you're done. There's no point in being grown up if you can't act a little childish sometimes. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who was actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood.
Hi, we're Visible. We're the wireless company with nothing to hide. Seriously, hidden fee?
We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own.
How true is that? We all love our how true is that? We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about the opinion of their own. So true. Oh, for
The
sure.
oldest, shortest words, yes and no, are those which require the most thought. Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a harder battle. To put everything in balance is good. To put everything in harmony is better. Develop success from failures. Discouragement and failure are two of the surest stepping stones to success. Striving for success without hard work is like trying to harvest where you haven't planted.
Yeah. That's the big problem with society today. Everybody wants success, but no one wants to work hard. Well, guess what? You're not going to get there. Even with you work hard, you might not get successful. You might not be where you might not reach the point you want to reach, right? It's just not that easy anymore. Never was, never will be.
Turn your wounds into wisdom. Forgiveness is not for the other person. It's for your peace of mind.
It's powerful.
Life is often very ambiguous. Sometimes there isn't a right or wrong decision or choice. Things are not always completely clear. You may not get the answer, so you just have to wing it. To realize that you are not your thoughts is when you begin to awaken spiritually. Never attribute to malice.
Yeah, you got to just trust the process, right? You know, we're not always going to be right, but we can always learn.
That which can be adequately explained by stupidity. Fairy tales are more than true, not because they tell us that dragons exist, but because they tell us that dragons can be beaten. Never go to the past, not for happiness, not for justification, not for excuses. The world is what it is. You are what you are. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own.
That's so good right there. Don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble. So true.
Of all the liars in the world, sometimes the worst are our own fears.
It's like your anxiety, right? Your anxiety is lying to you.
Do not spoil what you have by desiring what you have not. Remember that what you now have was once among the things you only hope for.
Very true, Harold. Why don't you change your mindset?
You don't have to burn books to destroy a culture. Just get people to stop reading them. Don't look back. You are not going that way. Practice self-compassion. We are all human, and everyone makes mistakes. If you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. Make and keep friends with the people you want to emulate, not the people that you think will be most likely to accept you. The people you associate with will shape your future.
And that's the old saying, show me your friends, I'll show you your future.
Start saving your money. Don't spend it on homes you can't afford, fancy cars, and running your credit cards to the max. In the end, you'll be much happier. There are two paths you can go by, but in the long run, there's still time to change the road you're on.
What song is that? There are two paths you can go on, but is that Led Zeppelin? That has to be Led Zeppelin, right? Stairway to Heaven? Anybody?
It's no use wasting time worrying what other people think about you.
I gotta look it up.
No one is thinking about you. The world is a tragedy to those who feel, but a comedy to those who think. Thinking is the hardest work there is, which is probably the reason why so few engage in it. There are only 3 events in a man's life: birth, life, and death. He is not conscious of being born. He dies in pain, and he forgets to live. Manage your mood, because if it does not obey, then it commands.
Yeah, that's
In order to understand the world,
I was right. That is Led Zeppelin, Stairway to Heaven. Yes, there are two paths you can go by, but in the long run, there's still time to change the road you're on. I pulled that out of the archives.
one has to turn away from it on occasion. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it.
Looks like laundry day is today.
True love never has a happy ending, because there is no ending to true love. Life is like a book. Some chapters are sad.
I want to play.
Some are happy.
I want to play this video. It just came to me. I played a long time ago. And I haven't seen it for a while. It's Matthew McConaughey. Yeah, exactly. We don't need approval, but you're worried about what other people think. You know, that's a sad part of life. Most people don't care about you anyway, right? Most people don't give a fuck anyway. So why even care? But I like this. I like this video. It's like one of the first videos I ever played months ago when I started doing this, and it's kind of powerful. It's Matthew McConaughey. If you don't know, he's an actor. This is at I guess like some college. It's called the 13 Truths. It's pretty interesting.
Because I do know this. The sooner that we become less impressed with our life, with our accomplishments, with our career, with whatever that prospect is in front of us, the sooner we become less impressed and more involved with that and these things, the sooner we get a whole lot better at doing them. So I'm going to talk to you about some things that I've learned in my journey. Most from experience, some of them I heard in passing, many of them I'm still practicing, but all of them I do believe are true. Now, they may be truths to me, but don't think that that makes them mine, because you cannot own a truth. So please think of these as signposts, approaches, paradigms.
There's very powerful stuff here. Very interesting. If you've never seen this before.
That give some science to satisfaction. They're yours to steal, they're yours to share, like into your own lives, to personally apply in your own lives, in your own way, should you choose to. So, here we go. Number one, life's not easy. Life is not easy. It is not. Don't try to make it that way. Life's not fair. It never was. It isn't now, and it won't ever be. Do not fall into the trap, the entitlement trap, of feeling like you're a victim. You are not. Get over it and get on with it. And yes, most things are more rewarding when you break a sweat to get them. Number two, I love this. Unbelievable is the stupidest word in the dictionary.
I love this. I was just thinking about this the other day, and I couldn't remember where I learned this. It's so funny, but this is where I learned that the term unbelievable is just not supposed to be used anymore, because it's believable because it just happened.
Should never come out of our mouths. Think about it. To say, oh, wow, what an unbelievable play. It was an unbelievable book, an unbelievable film, an unbelievable act of courage. Really? It may be spectacular. It may be phenomenal, most excellent or outstanding. But unbelievable? Give others and yourself more credit. It just happened. You witnessed it. You just did it. Believe it. What about the other side of unbelievable? You know, that side when we humans underperform or act out of our best character. For instance, man flies a suicide jet into the World Trade Center. Millions die from diseases every day that we have cures for. Bob the Builder swears that he's going to have your house built by Thanksgiving, and you can't move in until Christmas the next year. Our best friends lie to us, and we lie to ourselves all the time. Unbelievable? I don't think so. Again, it just happens, and it happens every day. Nothing that we Homo sapien earthlings do is unbelievable.
You guys agree with that? It's so true. You know, everyone will be like, oh, it was so unbelievable yesterday. Well, no, it wasn't, because it happened. It's very believable. You just lived it.
And if there's one thing you can depend on people being, it's people. So we shouldn't be surprised. We, us, are the trickiest mammals walking the planet. I'm not worried about the monkeys. I'm worried about you and me. So acknowledge the acts of greatness as real, and do not be naive about mankind's capacity for evil, nor be in denial of our own shortcomings. Happiness is an emotional response to an outcome. If I win, I
There's another thing. It's happiness and joy. I must have taken a lot from this video because I haven't seen this in a while, and I still say these things I learned from it. It's pretty crazy.
I will be happy. If I don't, I won't. It's an if-then, cause and effect, quid pro quo standard that we cannot sustain because we immediately raise it every time we attain it. You see, happiness demands a certain outcome. It is result reliant. And I say if happiness is what you're after, then you're going to be let down frequently and you're going to be unhappy much of your time. Joy, though, joy is a different thing. It's something else. Joy is not a choice. It's not a response to some result. It's a constant. Joy is the feeling that we have from doing what we are fashioned to do, no matter the outcome. Now, personally, as an actor, I started enjoying my work and literally being more happy when I stopped trying to make the daily labor a means to a certain end. For example, I need this film to be a box office success. You know, I need my performance to be acknowledged. I need the respect of my peers. All those are reasonable aspirations, but the truth is, as soon as the work, the daily making of the movie, the doing of the deed became the reward in itself for me, I got more box office, more accolades and respect than I ever had before. See, joy is always in process. It's under construction. It is in constant approach, alive and well in the doing of what we're fashioned to do and enjoying it. Number 4, define success for yourself. Define success for yourself. Now check this out. I'm in south of New Orleans a few years ago, and I went to a voodoo shop. And they had this wooden partition against the wall with these columns. And in these columns were all these vials of these magic potions, right? And the headings above each potion defining what they would give you were things like fertility, health, family, legal help, energy, forgiveness, money. Guess which column was empty? Money. Let's admit it. Money is king today. It's what makes the world go round. It is success. The more we have, the more successful we are, right? Now, I would argue that our cultural values have even been financialized. Humility is not in vogue anymore. It's too passive. It's a get rich quick on the internet, richest 15 minutes of fame world that we live in, and we see it every day. But we all want to succeed, right? So the question that we got to ask ourselves is what success is to us, what success is to you.
Yeah, it's very true, right? What is success to us? What is success to you, you know? It's totally different for everybody. I'm going to end it right there, I think. There's some things I want to do this morning before I go to work. I'm trying to break down some of these videos and make some more content out of them. Trying to reach more people, but I have been needing time alone. Yeah, for sure. We all need some time alone, right? It helps us. Yeah, success is surviving the day. Yeah, it's different for everybody, right? Some success is just getting out of bed. For some, that's enough. For some, it's not even close to enough. But yeah, I'm gonna end it here. Got some things I got to do, but I'll be live again later tonight or tomorrow morning. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate your interaction, understanding, and thanks for being here. Well, catch me on the next one. Thank you as well. Thanks for all the comments and interaction. I appreciate it. Have a wonderful day. Appreciate you guys. Take care.